Hi. Okay, so Hargoben and Guru Ravi are here. And who else?
Ranji.
Oh, a lovely chorus. Who? Okay, now let's try. One at a time. One. Who is here?
Ranji.
Good. And who else?
Suzanne,
welcome. And who else?
Guru Atma.
Hi, Guru Atma. Welcome. And who else? Satnishan. And who else?
Tomas and Rahmani.
Rahmani and Tomas.
Yes.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you.
And who else?
Sadanam.
Welcome, dear. And you all may know Sadanam on the Facebook group is Ma Nitya. Is that the way you say it?
Nitya.
Okay, good. Thank you, dear.
Atma.
She has a couple of names. Huh?
Nitya Atma. Sorry, just Atma is fine.
Oh, okay. Okay, so she has a lot of names. Okay, thank you, dear.
I've always had a lot of names for some reason.
Lots of identity. And who else is here?
Kehar.
Kehar, welcome, Kehar. Did
Hi.
everybody see what Kehar is doing? She's putting up these calls on YouTube and then puts them on Facebook. I think that's the most remarkable thing. I couldn't figure out how to do it. Kehar has come to the rescue. Thank you, dear.
You're welcome.
And who else is here?
Hadi Munder.
Hi, Hadi Munder. How are you?
All right.
Okay. I tried to call and your phone was busy, but I need to call again. Okay. And who else is here? Anybody else? Nobody else is here? I might call on you later. Okay. Okay, so let's just begin. Long deep breath. And focus at the third eye point. Palms together at the center of the chest. And remember, this tuning in is for protection and for guidance. It's real stuff, okay? So inhale, please. Long deep breath. Good. And now begin heart breath. That is breathing very slow, very deep from your belly and through your nose. And feel on the exhale, as if the breath is coming out of your heart center. Open up your heart. Let it flow. Good. And now allow this beautiful heart breath, which is the healing energy. Please let it move, connect among all of us. Whether you're on the phone right now or whether you're listening to the recording. What a precious group. What a wonderful tribe. Both giving and receiving, a pure, he calls it transcendental perpetual flow. Good. Do you feel the strength of it? Tune into the strength of connecting in. Good. And now today, would you please send your healing heart breath to everybody who's feeling the very heavy effects of the changing times? Okay, as Yogi Bhajan said, many of us would be going into depression or hopelessness. Please send that energy. And then as well, please include Tomas, Ratmani's beautiful lifetime husband. As you know, he's had a debilitating illness. Good. Lift the spirits, lift the kindness. You can't imagine, this is Baba Siri Chand, he says you can't imagine what happens when you allow the energy of kindness. He says all the angels and the fairies dance. Keep up the heart breath. And he's asking me to tell this story. A lot of years ago, I taught some things, meditation and yoga at Omega Institute in upstate New York. And one night, it was dark on the path in the woods. I met a friend, and we hugged. There were lightning bugs all around, but when we hugged, when that heart breath, when that extension of happiness and kindness occurred, there was an amazing light show of these lightning bugs lighting up. And then when we parted, then they all calmed down. He says that's just one little example. He says Be ruthless in your expression of kindness. It's an odd way to say it, but that's what he says. Keep up the heart breath. Extend the kindness. As you know, kindness is what the Dalai Lama teaches for good reason. Keep up the heart breath. It's good for you, it's good for others, it's good for the connection. Connection of the infinity as it moves into the earth plane. Good. Get a good dose of heart breath today. Good dose. Okay, so inhale and exhale. But he says, do keep up heart breath. He says, don't forget. And he says, here's your challenge. Keep up heart breath day and night, even when you sleep. He says, if you make that intention before you go to sleep, it will continue. He says, your dreams will be sweeter, your sleep softer, and the world purified. Okay, so, sir, what are we going to talk about today? He says, we're already talking about it. Okay, sir. So, he says, we're talking about kindness. He says, kindness. He says, kindness. And he's showing me this picture of somebody getting on the horse, but somebody giving what they call a leg up, holding their foot and sort of helping them on the horse. He says that's the action of kindness. He says in this competitive world that is manufactured by the greed of the Piscean era, by the greed of what has turned into capitalism, what was the serf, he calls it the serf maniac party, in other words, the Middle Ages and so on, the age of kings and queens and serfs. He says that was maniacal. He says that's a real separation of body and soul. He says, but the earth had to go through it. He says there was kindness if people brought grace to the table. He says, but in general, grace was more of a decoration, a superficial decoration, than it was a deep philosophical value. He said the world was built on grief. The world was built on grief rather than the associated opposing values of kindness, justice, heart-centered love, love between brother, sister, father, mother, with all humanity. In other words, connecting with the souls of all. He said Jesus came, and do you know that he was expressing the values of not of the Piscean, but of the Aquarian age? He says that's true. He said it's taken a very long time in evolution for these things to begin to surface. He says even though things are looking dire right now, he says you compare them to 100 years ago. He says then you will know what real theft and buggery were about. He says, but in this coming age, he says there will be no place for the theft, for the grief, for the heartache. He said the grief and the heartache will occur, but the people will find their strength in connecting, not in separating. When he says the people, he's using that word with a very deep reverence. When he says people, person, he is talking about the true value of the soul, the Almighty, what we call the Almighty God presence expressing itself on this earth.
Carol Anderson.
Welcome, dear. He
Hi.
says, yeah, we've already begun the talk, dear.
Okay.
Baba Siri Chand says that the presence of the human being on the earth is made for the blessing of all. It is the expression of all. He says, please understand the goodness and the kindness that comes through you. He says, never put it aside. And he says, never put it aside in the other person. Yogi Bhajan always said, forgive, but don't forget. In other words, don't be stupid. But he did say always, if you can't see God in all, you can't see God at all. Which means that as we move from the Piscean into the Aquarian, which we are doing right now, which we have been doing and will continue to, he says there is a real value, the total value of, even though you see the squirminess, the nastiness, the undercutting, he says, even though you see that, he says, always, always relate to the purified soul that is beneath that. He says, we've talked about this before. He says, you know that humans, what we call individual humans, as they break off from the Godhead in the beginning, in other words, from the all-knowing into the total forgetting, and go through, as Yogi Bhajan used to say, 8.4 million lifetimes, half of them in water. He says, then you understand that there is a period of forgetting, and that is how creation, on this, what we might call, this limited frequency level. This is how infinity infuses itself, how it creates itself. Creation, by definition, means that it is limited. That's just the definition of it. It is not the infinity. Infinity has no form. Form, by its definition, has limitations. It is sculpted into these forms energetically. He says, so allow the limited forms, allow the infinity, allow the expression of the infinity, allow your consciousness of the infinity to be experienced even through the limited forms. He says, do not be satisfied, do not be satisfied in your mind or in your heart with pure limitation. He says you cannot, he says sometimes you can find the infinity with your mind, but the real secret is to relax, to move into heart breath, to move into the awareness or the expression of your soul, which we are also calling the Aquarian dimension. Allow yourself to move into that caliber, into that category of the expression of soul. And you know that your soul is the infinity of you. And from that arena, from that expression, then you are automatically in tune with the infusion of infinity of everything. Using the word thing, again, implies that it's limited or sculptured. He says that's not a bad thing. He says the infinity does it. And will continue to do that. It is the dance. It is the play. He says, so give over to that infinity that infuses the finite as one whole, continuous being. give over. He says it's not a big deal. It's not a thing that you go into vigils for weeks on end, where you go into fasting and meditation. He says you can do that. He says, but it's available at every second. This consciousness, he calls it a consciousness, the infinity infusing the finite. The infinity, the consciousness creating the finite. He says be very aware of that so that you don't get stuck in the limited, so that you don't get stuck in the hopeless. He says if you only relate to the finite, he says you're lost, because there apparently is nowhere to go. If you only infuse yourself into the infinity, he says you lose sight of where you are. You are the Godhead living in this finite celebration. He calls it a finite celebration because we get to look to the truth. That's our ability as humans. Sort of on the top of this worldly food chain, you might say. It's not a food chain, it's a consciousness chain. We get to look to, experience, understand this great amalgamation of finite and infinite. He says, please perceive it now. Do your heart breath. Do your heart breath. Truly feel your heart. Feel that place of kindness, that place of expression of the infinity through the finite. Allowing it to flow right down your whole body, through your feet, into Mother Earth. He said, revere her. She is the creative consciousness of the infinity. Mother is the creative consciousness of the infinity. Allow your energy to cycle right down into the center of the earth of her creative consciousness. Become what we call grounded. In other words, expanding your total awareness, your being into the finite, very blessed finite consciousness. Remember, we're not shedding it. We are infusing ourselves into it, connecting. Create a cycle. Create a cycle of moving into Mother and then bringing that energy back up. And now bringing that energy right up your body, right out through the top of your head, through your 10th gate, to the infinite. And cycling back down and continuing that cycle. From the infinite, through your body, down into the center of the creative consciousness, and back up again. Continuous cycle. And as you do that, continue your heart breath coming out, moving through the horizontal. As you move the energy of the horizontal through your heart, you are moving the amalgamated energy of creator creation. He says this is not a small thing. You read in books about the Almighty and how extraordinary that is, and you get the feeling of, oh, how far from me that is. But do you see? Do you see that you are the expression of that yourself? It is so intimate that sometimes it's hard to grasp. As the old expression goes, can't see the forest for the trees. You are the expression of the infinite in the creation. You have that awareness. You have the ability to be aware of who you are, what this creation is, and what the joining of hearts is all about. It is pure connection, pure openness, pure love. Through lifetimes, we simply, because Godhead has set it up this way, when we say the Godhead, we mean the root of your own consciousness. This is not some old guy who figured out this crazy plan, okay? This is the root of your own consciousness. Has, in its wisdom, put together, he calls it an effort, a creative effort to experience all forms of darkness, all forms of light. He says, that is the way it is. He says, I could explain more and more about this and will in future talks. He says, but essentially just trust it now that you have come here to experience the shadow dance, the shadow and light dance. He says, please don't let it overcome you. Please bless in the heart, in the true spirit of it, as though dancing in the eye of the hurricane, as though living at the center of the web, as though surfing the wave. He says, please see yourself as that. If you have ever seen the image of the dancing Shiva, he says, that is you. You are the dancing Shiva that brings creation into being and also changes creation out. Life and death, light and dark. Dance it, whirl it like those whirling dervishes. Dance it. He says, please know who you are. Know who you are. You are the dancer of creation. The light and the dark, the infinite, enlightening the finite. What a blessing. He says, now, being in that dancing state, that beautiful place of total calmness, but absolute activity, in the eye of the hurricane, he says, now, bring in an incident in your life, either in your historical life or in your recent life. He says, remember that incident? He says, and see it as an ingredient. See it as a stage and move into that situation or chaotic drama. Move in as a swirling, connected being of infinity finite, creator creation, whirling dervish, dancing Shiva, and dance it. Dance through that chaos. Dance it. While you were dancing, also let the energy from your heart fly through all. Total freedom, no limitations. Just absolute organization, not confining organization, connecting organization on the most infinitesimal, most expansive scale. From pure infinity to the most small microcosm. Dense it as one. Dense it as one. This is who you are. This is your genuine ability. This is your gift of life. For eons, you and your ancestors thought you were separate. My dears, we are correcting that now. You are opening to the light of who you are. You are opening to the pure expression of the amalgam, of the truth of who you are, the Sat Nam, the identity of truth of who you are. Feel the blessing of that. Just relax into the gracious blessing of who you are. The infinite as the finite as the infinite. One whole, total whole being. And you is not separate from others, not separate from the earth. Again, is one whole being. Breathe with that. Oh, breathe the fresh, cool air of that. Knowing who you are. Knowing who you are. Taking note of what happens to the chaos that you have experienced when you dance that wholeness. Take note. What happens? There are no expectations. No preconceived patterns for putting it together. Because the consciousness, the awareness, the knowledge resides at a place beyond the limitations of the mind. The mind is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Can open all kinds of doors or can shut all kinds of doors. But as you open to the mind of the consciousness which operates in the total present. Open to the mind. Open the mind to the door of the total present, which means that all infinity, the consciousness of absolute wisdom, moves through you. And the finite of the mind is happy to accept the wisdom that is contained in the present, that is contained in the present of the dance of the light and dark, the pure awareness, understanding that we, as being joined, are masters in this whole plan. We imbibe the mastership of the whole plan as we allow the purity of the consciousness to flow through and to express that. As we do not cut it off with expectations of how it should be. Open to the present. To weave the presence out of the apparent chaos. Good. Feeling that? noting in your being what happens. Good. And inhale. And exhale. Feel it in your whole being. Take note. Bring the experience and the awareness to your mind so that now you can express it and share it with others of this wholeness of being. He says, my dears, this is the way you understand, the way you share, where you share your kindness and your consciousness so that we can all gather and ascertain the truth. So, my dears, he says, who can share? He says, I'm tickling the ribs of a few here. Who is being tickled to share?
Siri Gian?
Yes, dear. Guru Ravi?
Uh-huh. I had a couple of things that I could share. One, at the beginning, as we remembered and looked back, I think it was 100 years or so, to see how we've progressed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if we think like we have so much further to go, but to look back. And something that came up was yesterday, my little granddaughter Ashton was here, and she asked about Hansel and Gretel. She had never heard that story. So I began telling the story, and then I stopped. I'm like, oh, my gosh, that's such a horrible story. I can't tell that to you. So I'm thinking we don't have to go back that far, because we think of the stories that we were told as children, just, I mean, awful, dark stories.
Exactly.
And, you know, and our children and grandchildren today don't really know those stories. Thank goodness.
God.
Yes. And the second part, as we went into the meditation of bringing an experience of chaos maybe or pain or whatever that was, I went to the experience of my oldest daughter being killed. And I could see in that experience, there was the dance of Shiva. It was this beautiful blue and white and purple swirling lights, and just almost like a smoke going around that whole incident. And I was pulled into it, and then I began to see everyone. In the last 13 years since it's happened, I began to see all of the souls, the people that are on this path with me, students, clients. And when he said, I don't remember exactly what it was, like begin to dance or live that dance, I heard that's what you're doing.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it was a very beautiful and powerful experience of all of that. So
would you say that the chaos, it was important to have the chaos in order to dance this transformative dance with all the people that you've known so far?
Yes, and I began to see everyone's part in it. All of our parts and how they're swirled together and how we're dancing, and whatever anything looks like to us, any tragedy or sadness or grief or whatever it is, it's all part of the dance, and that swirl moved out to a path, to the pathway, and all of us joining on that pathway, and you know that we're all going to the same place, and we're here to help each other on that path.
Wonderful. And where are we going?
It was just a complete expansion, just going out and out and out. The spirals got larger and larger, and it felt it encompassed more and more and more. I didn't experience that at the time, but I hear we're going to our soul, but not just soul, our conjoined souls.
How beautiful. How beautiful. Thank you so much for that explanation. It adds so much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. And I appreciate the blessing that you brought here and explaining the chaos. Explaining the chaos and sharing the chaos and the expansion associated with your daughter's death or passing.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you.
Now, who else can share? Do not judge high or low. You're not allowed.
This is Carol Anderson, and I
yes, dear.
heard the part with you're here to dance, learn how to overcome the dance of the shadow.
The dance of the what?
Of the shadow.
Oh, shadow.
Dancing.
S-H-A-W.
Yes, I heard you say that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. You're here to overcome the dance of the shadow.
Ah, and what does that mean to you?
That everything that has happened to me happened for a reason. And I had the power to create what has happened to me, not anyone else. And I'm learning how to overcome, all the shadow part of myself.
Ah, that's the important thing, the shadow part of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Is that shadow part of yourself meant to be shed, or is it meant to be loved? What is it?
Well, I think both.
Mhm. Mhm. How about transformed?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Good. What fun! What challenge we have, huh? That's great. Okay, so onward, spiritual soldiers. Bless you, dear. Thank you so much.
Siri Gian?
Yes.
Hi, it's Sada Call.
Hi, sweetie. How are you?
Well, I'm okay.
Good.
I dialed in late, so I missed much of the message today.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm calling for a little advice and a little extra prayer on everyone's part. We received some very tough news this morning that our dear next door neighbor had been shot and killed.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. Thank you, dear, for bringing. Huh?
He has 2 beautiful little sons and a wife, and they were there when he was shot. And
oh my goodness.
I know they need prayers, and this man, he was such a blessed being. He was such a dear person.
Okay, thank you, dear. We are doing that right now. Everybody is doing their heart breath. Is connecting to Mother, connecting to the Infinite. And my dears, this is certainly a situation of chaos. He says, please feel the chaos. Please feel the heart-centered heart breath. And he says, please join in this dance of creation now with the intention of dancing the chaos of this family. dancing it in the most infinite way. Use your heart breath. Let your own fear move. Do not let yourself be hemmed in by your own fear. Give it to that creator, creative essence, as well as the grief. Keep up. Allow pure love, pure kindness to move through. To infuse the finite with the infinite. Pure, non-judgmental love. Experience the dance. And feel the blessing and have the intention of continuing that. That is what we call intention. It is not expectation. Intention is free and it goes beyond expectation. And leaves results in the hands of the infinite consciousness. Continue this. And Sadakal, what is your experience of that?
Well, I see the kids many years down the road being okay, but maybe they can be okay even sooner.
Wonderful, wonderful. So we will all keep up this intention of this beautiful family. What is the family name?
Ainsworth.
How do you spell that?
It's A-I-N like Nancy, S like Sam, W-O-R-T-H, Ainsworth.
Great. Thank you, dear. So we will keep the Ainsworth family in our heart.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Bless you.
This is Huddy Munder. Could we do calls for him, for Dad?
Oh, what a good idea. We're going to do 3 calls, and it's interesting that Sadakal's name also contains the word a call. And this is what we do. We say this mantra when someone passes. And what it appears to do is to call the light forth so that the person can see it, can, how can I say, fall into it, enjoy it, and hook in with it. And it means undying. Okay, and we say it short, a long call. Okay, inhale, please. Ah. very caring. He appears to be very grateful for your devotion to kindness.
Thank you.
Thank you, dear. Now, would anybody else like to share?
This is Ranjit.
Yes, dear.
Hi. I wanted to say real quick before I made my sharing or did my sharing was I felt when we were all praying for that family and setting heart breath, I felt all of us doing such a dance like the whirling dervishes around, and we created a vacuum that pulled in the infinite, bringing in all the support and love from the infinite into the finite, where the family was able to feel all the love and the prayers surrounding them. It was really wonderful. The feeling, that
great.
finite celebration that we were able to put into effect immediately it felt unbelievable to me.
Thank you for telling us that.
Oh. And what I wanted to share was it was interesting today talking about kindness because I wrote a book on kindness. I sent it to many people and it wasn't published, so I'm trying to rewrite it now. But the name of the book is The Bigger Your Heart Is, the Bigger It Gets, and it's Opening Your Heart to the Universe, Gestures of Kindness. And one of the quotes in the book was from the Talmud, and it was the highest form of wisdom is kindness. And Yogi Bhajan has a great one too. He says, kindness is the mother of truth, and compassion is the father of truth. When compassion and kindness join, truth is born. And there's so many beautiful things on kindness, and I don't know. It was just wonderful. It just brought in all of the thoughts of kindness and how kind it is that we all share what we share in, and sharing our stories and just our kindness and love for one another. And I guess that was it. Just wanted to share that, and it just feels so good to be able to open my heart and to join with everybody else, and it just feels good.
Oh, wonderful, dear. Yes,
my
it does
experience
feel good.
for myself was the situations we were talking about, where when we found ourselves going back to a certain situation, and the same thing happened again with that. I became the whirling dervish again, and I was wearing all purple, and I was just kind of going around and kind of like just, kicking everything out of the way, but it was kind of a happy dance. First I was a little sad. Tears came to my eyes, remembering the sadness, and then as I twirled, I'm sorry, I think the sadness has kind of gotten to me about what just happened. As I twirled and was able to kind of kick everything out, and it was all swirling and going up and just dissipating, I became so much lighter, and it was a good.
It's an integration to the light, isn't it?
Yes. It was wonderful.
Good. Thank you so much, dear. I love that. And when you're ready, let me know, and if you would like, maybe we can put it on the site as an ebook.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, thank you.
Well, looks like we have come to the end of our hour. We used to say 20 minutes for the whole thing, but forget that. We're capping at an hour now. So, God bless you all. What a joy to be with all of you. Bless you. Or bless us. Okay. Kehar, are you here?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay, so can you please lead us in the closing song as we feel the whirling dance among us?
Inhale. May the long time sun shine upon you.
all around you,
and what you are within you, guide your way on, guide your way on, guide your way on.
Inhale. And please bow to this pure holiness of who you are. Baba Siri Chand is totally dancing with you. And as you know, Baba Siri Chand is an expression of Shiva. So we are certainly dancing the dance together as a unified being. Bless you all. Live in your love. Live in your kindness. Live in your compassion. And share. Don't forget to share on Facebook on our group page. I'm going to tell you the address again. It's facebook.com/groups, GROUPS, Please join us. And don't forget, we are going to have our wonderful second Yogi Mela coming up February 17th. So please come on the Soul Answer site, soulanswer.com, and find the Yogi Mela. Guru Ramdas, Throne of Raj Yoga with Hamandeep. Oh, sensational. 2.5 days in bliss. God bless you all. Love you all. Come be with one another.
Love you.
Salam.
Salam.